And Connor O'Gara, Saturday Down South, with us on the JohnstonRVCenter.com hotline. You can follow him on Twitter at CJ O'Gara. What's up, Connor? How are you?
Gentlemen, doing well. It was a late night watching some hoops. I was sitting there hoping that we were going to see the last game of the Mike Krzyzewski era, but unfortunately, like so many others, I was disappointed. Who knows? Maybe that means that Arkansas will get a chance to knock out Coach K once and for all. But everything is well, just a little bit sleep deprived after a late night.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked on this show, and I think we were right when we said it about how poorly Duke seemed to be handling this farewell tour. But I got to give them credit, man. These last two games they've played, they could have easily melted. And when it has mattered most, they played their best.
I'm just going to keep writing about how Duke has all these future first-round picks and how they're going to eventually play iso ball and do their own thing. And these teams that play team defense are going to stop them. Eventually it has to happen, right? Like if Duke gets through Arkansas, I mean, that would be an unbelievable run to the Final Four with the matchups they've had to get through defensively. Like everybody was talking about Texas Tech and how well they really pressure you on that side of the ball. And I thought at a lot of different points in that game, it's like, all right, Texas Tech is getting ready to run away with this. And we're going to get kind of the sweet moment of Coach K's send off. And, everybody's going to kind of, be dialed into this. And instead it's like, Duke just finds a way to overcome this. And now it's up to Arkansas to ultimately get the job done. And I don't think that is out of the question at all after what we just saw the Hogs do last night. I was unbelievably impressed with Eric Musselman's team, just continuing to find ways to get it done. And, this is a program that is so very much on the rise. And I am buying any Eric Musselman stock that there is left available right now.
Now, on Twitter last night, you were being a little tongue-in-cheek when you said Gonzaga would finish fifth in the SEC West, right?
Yeah, so like the funny thing, because I feel like everybody just says that no matter what about the SEC West when it comes to football, so I just figured I'd throw that in there for basketball too, even though they obviously don't play in divisions.
I love it, because I think there's people out there that probably agree. There's like this Gonzaga hate, and I understand they haven't gotten over that hump, but the fact is...
100% this afternoon there'll be a phone call that goes something like this. Paul, they'd finish middle of the pack in the SEC.
That's what I was doing.
Yeah, it would. But, I don't think a lot of people realize an SEC West team has not played for a national championship in 27 years.
So a perfectly fair point. I was more talking about Gonzaga, which ironically enough doesn't have a football program, and how they would be able to handle the toughest division. But I actually find myself, I defend Gonzaga because I was the person saying coming into this tournament, they've been to the Elite Eight for the last 6 years, and no other program in all of college basketball can say that. If they were some massive fraud, surely they wouldn't be getting to that far in the tournament. Surely they wouldn't have been to 2 national championships. Of course, everybody's going to immediately pounce on Gonzaga the second they lose because of the conference. And it's like, you haven't won a national title, so what have you really done? But I get it. I get both sides of it. Just was having a little bit of fun with that tweet.
Hell, you defend Gonzaga because you look like you'd play for Gonzaga. That's why you defend them. Right?
Okay, that's fair. I'll take that. Look,
he's got that Pacific Northwest beard. He's got the stacked hair. He's got a little glasses there, a little Rambo look. I mean, I hear you.
I'm tapping out at 5'8". I'm just a hair shorter than Chet Holmgren, but I think I could outbench Chet Holmgren if that means anything. Yeah. I got more of the Chris Likes body, the Arkansas reserve who comes in and just drains free throws like it's nobody's business. I'm a little bit more of that build, but I could see myself, I guess, having the face to play Gonzaga.
St. Peter's, man, do they remind you of anybody, and do you think it ends tonight?
I think it ends tonight. Look, I'm an Indiana grad, so if Purdue were to lose to St. Peter's, I'll be honest, there's a part of me that wouldn't hate it. But I think it does end tonight. What they do defensively is pretty incredible. And we saw Kentucky's guards just have no response whatsoever. I mean, Ty Washington, Xavier Wheeler, those guys were just really struggling to get any quality looks. And it was all on Oscar Tshiebwe to get going. And, St. Peter's is trying to do something that we've never seen before. That is have a 15 seed reach the Elite Eight. I don't think they're going to be able to handle Zach Edey on the inside. Purdue finally has that lottery pick with Jaden Ivey. I think this is going to be a real struggle for St. Peter's to be able to sustain it. But we saw 2 15 seeds that got to the Sweet 16, right? Florida Gulf Coast, and then last year with Oral Roberts. Both those teams led by double digits in their games in the Sweet 16, which we forget about because they blew those leads. So I think the story ultimately ends tonight, but at the same time, I don't necessarily think it's going to be a walk away, slam dunk. Purdue wins this game by 20.
Connor O'Gara is with us at CJ O'Gara on Twitter is where you follow him. He is with Saturday Down South. He is on the JohnstonRVCenter.com hotline. But, I mean, we say on this show, sometimes stereotypes are stereotypes for a reason. History is history for a reason. It would be the most Purdue thing ever, and you're an Indiana guy, to lose this game.
Yes, it would. And I, much like I had a Gonzaga joke in the holster about the SEC West, I may dip into my stash of Matt Painter related jokes on Twitter if Purdue were to lose to a 15 seed. Like, okay, I'm a human being. I pride myself in being an unbiased journalist, but every once in a while, you got to let the jab slip in every once in a while. It would be a bad loss. When I came into the Sweet 16, I laid out the three coaches who had the most pressure on them, like in this weekend. Mark Few being one of them, didn't exactly handle it very well.
Yep.
Yeah, Bill Self and then Matt Painter. So maybe I already gave the kiss of death to Mark Few by saying that, and maybe Matt Painter and Bill Self will stub their toe just like I did yesterday, and I'm dealing with a severely sprained big toe right now. I'm playing hurt, but I'm here for you guys. Maybe Matt Painter will also stub his toe, and maybe I'll have to make a joke on Twitter about that and losing to a 15 seed.
Hey, although these SEC head coaches have been coaching for a long time, this seems like a fluid exercise if we were to rank the best coaches in the SEC in college basketball. I mean, you would have to go Calipari just based on the resume, but the guy hasn't won a national championship, and I say it like it's easy to do, in a decade. But right now, we were talking earlier on the show, Connor, that, maybe Musselman, you would put him at possibly number 2 just because he's been to back-to-back Elite Eights.
Yeah, I actually, just right before I got on this call, finished writing a column why I would want Eric Musselman over any SEC basketball coach for the next decade. I truly mean that. And yeah, some of that might come off as recency bias, but I mean, you can even go back to some of the Nevada stuff and what he was doing there and getting that program to new heights. I mean, they were a top 5 program in the country, Nevada. Like, what in the world is Musselman doing on a yearly basis to get to this place? He's making those in-season adjustments. He makes the in-game adjustments. You look at the scouting report last night against the top overall seed in the NCAA tournament. He decides, what they're going to go at Andrew Nebhard, the guard that transferred from Florida, and they feel like they can really kind of attack him and frustrate him and get Gonzaga out of sorts. And then they're able to do that. Look, I think it's a different discussion if you're looking at the most accomplished coach of all time or in the SEC. Obviously, that's a different conversation. Bruce Pearl, John Calipari, they have both been to places that Eric Musselman has not been to yet, and that's going to be the pushback. But, man, if I'm sitting here today based on the adjustments that we've seen Musselman make with 2 very different teams, I mean, this team is different than last year's team. Lost 3 of their top 4 scorers, been a more defensive-focused team. I would take Musselman over the field for the next decade.
Did you see Miami looking like this, and do you think they can carry it over from last week to keep it going? Because Auburn looked like Coyote running in after the Roadrunner into the tunnel and getting hit by a train that was this Miami of Florida team. Do you think the Hurricanes can keep this running?
Does Miami have the best backcourt in the history of college basketball?
Unbelievable.
I can't definitively say no at this point because – wow, their guards are incredible. I'm blown away by Miami. I had USC in the Elite Eight beating Miami in the first round, and I'm watching that first round game play out. I'm like, wait, this is Miami, right? The team that basically only had one good win in the regular season. They went on the road, they beat Duke. Everybody's talking about them, and yeah, they beat UNC when UNC was down, but they really did not do anything that impressive in the ACC this year. And here they come into the NCAA tournament, and their guards just get these high percentage looks going to the basket. I mean, they had the one guard who just went at Jabari and just dunked right on him. I mean, when have you seen that happen this year? Like, Miami looks like a world beater. They do not look the part of a double-digit seed. I think they beat Iowa State, a team that just basically won a road game against Wisconsin up in Milwaukee and played to their style, 7-11 in conference play, but they still look like a really solid defensive team. Yeah, Miami with Jim Larinaga. Jim Larinaga, I think, is going to get back to the Elite Eight for the first time since he did so with George Mason.
Was he with Moses on the mountain, Larinaga? Did they?
Dude.
I mean, that guy. I mean, he was coaching when I was a kid. He was on television.
Have we seen Jim Larinaga and Jim Boeheim in the same room?
Oh,
They do
that's a
look
great
more and
question.
more alike
Yeah.
every day.
The older they get, the more they look alike, yeah.
I don't know, man. Like he's got an unbelievable team, though. I mean, I'm blown away. And the way that Auburn game played out. I mean, guys, correct me if I'm wrong here. Auburn never had a chance in that basketball game. I mean, never. They showed up and they blew the doors off them in ways that I don't think we've seen like Jabari struggle to that extent with just getting shots off. I mean, that's supposed to be his calling card, is he can get his shot off from anywhere on the floor. And they're denying entry passes. I mean, they're doing everything well. Walker Kessler was invisible in that game. Yeah, the early foul trouble was part of that. But yeah, Miami has just blown me away. Miami and Houston are the two teams that are just like, hey, throw their seeds out at this point. I don't want to hear about any of that. Those teams are playing at such a high level right now. It would not be a surprise to see either of them in the Final Four.
Those that consume us on video always love the fact that you've got the office sign in the background. So we'll leave on this question. Better episode on The Office, Season 5, Episodes 14 and 15, which was Stress Relief, where they do the first aid training, or Season 6, Episode 10, which is the murder in Savannah. Which one is the better episode?
Murder is great. It's unbelievable. You got to talk like you get a little molasses in your mouth.
It's more Savannah.
Yeah. Love that episode. Stress Relief is maybe the best Office episode not named Dinner Party, but I think Stress Relief needs a different name. If it had a different name, I haven't come up with the right working title yet, but I feel like we talk about it in a different sort of way. Stress Relief is all time. It's the episode that aired right after the Super Bowl. It's the first Office episode I ever watched live, actually.
Oh, wow.
That open is as good as it gets with fire safety and all that. Today, cigarettes are going to save lives. Like, it is unbelievable. I love Stress Relief. It's probably the number 2 Office episode of all time. It just needs a renaming because so many people kind of lose shuffle of that. Like Dinner Party, you know exactly what that is. But true. Stress Relief, it's a little bit all over the place.
Okay, so The Office is good, but where are you on Curb and Silicon Valley? To me, those are the best comedies ever.
I've never been. I've binged Curb a couple times. I didn't grow up in the Seinfeld era as much. I was born in 1990. So
I didn't like Seinfeld. I didn't like Seinfeld. And I love Curb. I think it's the best ever.
Yeah, Curb is great. I've never been one to watch it regularly, though. I've only kind of watched it in spurts, kind of here and there. And then I have not gotten into Silicon Valley. My brother has talked it up a little bit, but those are two that I eventually need to get into. We just got HBO Max like 3 or 4 months ago, so I got a bunch of shows that I need to be able to burn through. Yeah,
go find Connor on Twitter and follow him at CJ O'Gara. See him on Saturday Down South Pod. All of that right there on Twitter. It's CJ O'Gara. Is where you find all of that. Connor, thank you very much for the time. Have a great weekend.
Appreciate it. You guys too.
All right. Connor O'Gara with us on the JohnstonRVCenter.com hotline.